In the dead of night, when the moon is high and ill winds blow, and the banshees cry and the moonlight casts an unearthly glow, arise, my love, with tales of woe.
Good evening. It is 12 midnight, the paranormal hour. Welcome to Ghost. I'm your host, Chief Lawson. Ghost is a podcast to discuss all paranormal and parapsychology subjects. You can find Ghost on all major formats, so tell your friends, tell your family. Come listen to Ghost. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the midnight hour. It is time for Ghost. Tonight, I have with us my director, Heather Lawson.
Hello.
My producer, Ciara Medley.
Hi.
And our research manager and social media manager, Jennifer Verne.
Good evening.
And tonight, we have a special guest. We have Crystal from Rhodes Hotel.
Hello.
And tonight, that's our subject, is Rhodes Hotel. So we're all enjoying an adult beverage and relaxing, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. I'm going to let Jennifer start us off.
Okay. Rhodes Hotel is in Atlanta, Indiana, and we've done this one before for our old listeners back in 2022, I think.
It was, yeah.
But we've gotten to know Crystal a little bit better at the Rhodes, and we wanted to bring this back out and discuss their new situation out there. So just to give another brief overview, the Rhodes was established about 130 years ago, not quite, in 1893 by Newton Rhodes. He lived there with his wife, Clara, and their children, Everett and Hazel. Hazel being the eldest. I always thought Everett was the eldest, but in doing more research, I realized that Hazel is actually the eldest. There's a very close connection with their boarding house hotel because it's right there in the middle of Atlanta along the railroad lines. So it was a good spot to have a boarding house there.
Oh, yeah.
It saw a wide variety of guests throughout the years. It is believed that possibly John Dillinger stayed there, even rumors of Al Capone. Who knows? Because it's in the north side of Indiana and along the rail line, I can see that possibly happening, them having stopped.
Well, just start there. What do you know of the possibility of visiting, Crystal?
So we haven't been able to really verify anything. We have had, I know people in town have stopped Mike before and told him that they had family members that had seen John Dillinger stop by, and he always used the back entrance. The door is still there upstairs, but it used to have steps leading up to it.
Okay.
They always said that he used that back entrance to go upstairs to the hotel whenever he visited. But unfortunately, we don't have anything that really confirms that.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't, because that auction book was sold off in 1868 when Hazel died.
Now, is this the guest book?
That's the guest book. It was sold off at auction, and it's gotten lost.
Oh, God. This is like the Green Lawn thing, where we...
Yeah, we don't have record, do we, Crystal?
Yeah. Yeah, God bless eBay,
Yeah. If we could
we
find
put it out there that we're looking for it, or anything related to the hotel, but unfortunately no one's gotten back to us.
That's a bad
It's got to be up in someone's attic somewhere, I hope.
Oh, I guarantee you. Yeah. It's probably stuck somewhere, and it just hasn't surfaced yet.
Yeah.
There's a couple places down here, and one of which I and my former retired co-founder had... talked about buying with Volrath, and Al Capone came in there, and of course the difference. John Dillinger didn't have a big entourage, and Al Capone did. Al Capone always.
Ghost to Ghost will be right back after these messages.
Good evening, listeners. Thank you so much for joining our show tonight. We would like to remind everyone that Greenwood Happy Haunts is having a paranormal fest, and that will be in September on the 12th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It is free to the public. Come on out. Get to visit with paranormal advertisers and vendors, and we will see you there. We will be there. Thank you so much for listening, Ghost to Ghost, and we return you to your regular programming. Okay, so anyway, the Volrath was Al Capone's hangout, and then the Gaslight was Dillinger's. And Dillinger traveled a little lighter, just him and his gun mall, and that was about it. Sometimes Machine Gun Kelly. But it was interesting because when I looked at buying the Volrath, it was actually a brothel downstairs as well, and it was haunted. Now it's a church, and I don't think we're going to get back into it. But anyway, I've always wanted to investigate in there. But, he came in through there, and he would come down from Chicago, and he would actually come in. They would drive in on the back lines of this railroad track around the back end and bring him in the back end. Mm-hmm. It was quite a production, and I mean, those guys were rarely seen, but they were there.
Right.
If you were in the hotel or in the bar or you might see him.
Yeah, but Dillinger always kept a much, much lower profile.
Oh, yeah.
So I can see Dillinger passing through Atlanta because that would be the rail line that he would take to go up north, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a perfect little stop for him. It'd be nice and quiet. He was a small town guy.
Yeah.
So he would fit in well there. I'm not so sure about Capone, but again,
Capone
Crystal
had money and they had a entourage. I mean, it would be. Yeah. I would think Dillinger would have been there. He liked to get away.
Right. But we can't prove it one way or the other, can we, Crystal?
No, unfortunately. No. I wish we could.
Yeah, I wish we could because that would be really cool to. But yeah, I feel confident saying Dillinger probably stopped there at least once, slept the night there, because when I was doing the census records to try and find out who was there and when the house was a border hotel house type thing, we can find that they do have borders in the 1900 census. So you definitely see some borders. They even have a couple from Wales who are staying with them. And the guy was a tin merchant. And that would make sense that he would stay there because with Newton being the traveling salesman that he was, within the manufacturing circles, that would have made sense for that gentleman to be residing with Newton because Newton would have given him the business contacts he would have needed.
Yeah.
But Newton lived there. Clara lived there. Like I said, Everett and Hazel. Now, Everett, we know, passed away when he was 19 years old.
Okay.
And that was in 1909. And he had just barely graduated high school at that point. He really, really worked hard to get all of his studies in so that he could graduate. He knew he was sick. He knew he wasn't going to make it long.
What did he die of?
Tuberculosis.
Oh, okay.
Tuberculosis.
Yep.
But he was a very sickly kid his whole life, right, Crystal?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I know there for the last little bit, he was quarantined with tuberculosis in the upstairs bedroom.
Yeah, in that back bedroom up there. But when he was 11, I think he was 11, he had whooping cough. And that whooping cough left him with asthma. And that asthma then, when he caught tuberculosis, it really did his lungs in. But he was, from what I have researched, he was kind of a homebody and stayed at the home a lot. But he passed away April 16th of 1909 in the home, and his funeral services were held there in the home the next morning, Saturday morning. And the preacher from Warsaw came down to do the service. Is this
the one preacher?
No, this is not a different preacher.
Okay.
Because actually, Lester Poor, who we're going to get to in a second.
Okay, that's the preacher I was
Yep, that's Reverend Lester Poor. He was living as a boarder at the Rhodes Hotel in 1900. But by 1910, he had already moved to the state of Oregon and was married. So he's on the 1910 registry in the state of Oregon with his wife and family at that point. So that's why he didn't do the service, because he was no longer in Indiana.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And we actually do have a census there's a page out of the census that I was able to find that has his name on it while he was actually in Atlanta at Rhodes.
Yeah. And it's Reverend L.C. Poor. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's got his Reverend title status on there, and it's got him listed as a minister.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'll pass that around the table, guys. You can take a look at that. And then I found Everett's obituary, and it is probably one of the sweetest obituaries I've ever read. His father loved this boy so much.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just the sweetest, kindest, most gentlest son a man could have, he said.
Mm-hmm.
And Everett was loved by all. Just a really wonderful man. Now, Newton also passed away in the home.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away January 22nd, 1926.
Okay, so quite a bit after.
Yeah, about 10 years, a little under 10 years.
Now, the question I've got is, do we have activity at any of the groups that have investigated Crystal? Do we have activity on these two?
Newton, I can't really verify for sure, but Everett, I actually had a really cool experience in Everett's room.
Tell us,
So, when Mike first took over, after Robin had purchased it and Mike was kind of overseeing everything through the charity, I went up and we were just working and just trying to renovate some of the stuff because it needed a lot of work. It still does.
Hey, it's an ongoing thing, you know?
It is. It absolutely is. But we had all been up there working for at least that whole day. I don't remember where in the process we were when this happened, but I know we had been up there probably a good week or so, just kind of working on different things. And we were staying at the hotel. We didn't have any groups in and out at that time. And it was cold, so we had not all of the baseboard heaters were working at the time, and we had 2 beds in Everett's room. Mm-hmm. So my parents were up there helping. I was there. Robin was there. We may have had another 1 or 2 people at the time, but my parents stayed. They slept in one bed in Everett's room, and I slept in the other, because that heater actually worked. And so it was maybe 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and I heard heavy footsteps walking around the bed on that hardwood floor in that room.
Wow.
And it was very clearly probably maybe work boots or like a hard sole boot or shoe and heavy footsteps. And I thought, oh, well, one of them have gotten up, maybe my dad, because, we were working, so he had boots and stuff like that. And I look over, and nobody's moving. They're sound asleep. And I'm hearing the footsteps still. And I was like, oh, okay.
Ciara can reason with you on that. I mean, she went through that.
She knows about the footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the footsteps.
Was it in that room?
No, I haven't been there. Just some of our other investigations.
We were at Randolph, and it was her very first second investigation.
Well, it was like my first real one, because Waverly was a public investigation.
We kind of threw her into the deep end of the pool.
Yeah, we took her to Waverly and then Randolph Infirmary back to back within a month.
And so, I'm sleeping. Of course, I'm ex-military, so I can sleep anywhere, anytime, and block things out. And I remember she woke me up and she says, "Do you hear those?" I go, "Yeah, it's the ghosts. They're just walking around upstairs." I just kind of blew it off. I said, they get a little more active. We'll go up and see what we got. But she went through that, and she was the only body awake when it originally went. I could hear them, but I don't ever sleep. I always kind of half sleep where I can wake up fast if I need to. And but we were laughing about that.
I heard them, and I was like, yeah, they're walking. Back to sleep.
Yeah.
It's weird to hear footsteps and look and where it's coming from, but there's
nobody there, right, Crystal? That's just freaky.
And when you're on your own, it makes it even worse. So everybody else is asleep. Yeah.
Well, you think you're kind of crazy because you're like, did I really hear that? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we heard the footsteps.
Everything. Anytime I have any experience, I think, okay, did that really just happen?
Exactly.
Is my mind playing tricks on me? And then I try to explain it away. But of course, most of the time, well, I can't say most of the time, but a lot of the times, especially at the hotel and some other places, places that I've visited, it's you can't. You're like, okay, I know this happened.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reasonable explanation for it. So, unless I am crazy, this happened.
Right. It absolutely happened.
You just have to accept it and go on. I mean,
Right.
I felt bad for Ciara because it was her first experience. There was a couple of things that happened after we had dozed off, and I mean, because we do stay the night at a lot of places. Especially, we have a rule: if we go more than 2 hours either way, it's automatic and overnight because we don't take any chance of anybody having a problem driving the next day. And but it's very odd. I think the first time I ever heard steps was at the Hannah house, and I mean, we're just going back to like 2000. I think 1 or 2, we were there for a bit, and I heard, and I thought it was one of our team. And I yelled out big and loud. I said, "Bring me another extension." This is when we were still doing cable cameras. And I yelled, "Bring me an extension cable when you come up at least a 50-footer." And I kept waiting and waiting. And then Ed pops up, which was my co-founder, who's retired. And I start chewing him to no end about, "Jesus Christ, I told you to bring me an extension. You're that old, you didn't remember?" He goes, "I wasn't up here. I don't know anything about it." He looks at me and goes, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about." He says, "Maybe you're the one that's too old." Turned around, walked off, and I realized then, hey, something walked up them stairs, but it wasn't our people, and it happened. So it...
Well, I know you had that experience in Everett's room, but it's awful hard to attribute that to a specific spirit, isn't it, Crystal? Because
it is.
Two other people died in the house. Newton dies in the house in 1926, and then Clara dies in the house in 1941. So,
I will say though, with what happened in Everett's room, it was probably less than a month later. We had another event that was going on, and I think it was the event with Chad Lindbergh and Grant Wilson.
Okay.
And we were in Everett's room, and someone had dowsing rods. And asking, yes or no questions, cross for yes, and just leave them straight for no. And my mom was part of the investigation, and she asked if the person in the room was Everett and if he was the one that was walking around my bed while I was asleep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's cool,
And
Crystal.
they crossed for yes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
So again, I mean, you can't really, you can't just say, oh yeah, automatically that yes, it was Everett just based on that. But
but
it is very interesting.
I'm glad you brought up the dowsing rods. Like I said, when I visited the roads in 2018, that was my first ever foray into an actual investigation. And at that point, dowsing rods to me were not really a reliable thing. I didn't trust them. I didn't believe them. And so we were up in the room where the story about Reverend Poor was taking place. And at that time, that was a story that the Reverend had been having an affair and hung himself in that room. So that was a story that I knew. So when Hope asked if anybody in the group wanted to try the dowsing rods, I knew I had to speak up because the only way I was going to believe something is if I had control of it. So I took the dowsing rods and we were asking questions about that story. And if it's me controlling it, the dowsing rods should have always crossed yes, because we were asking questions. Did you die in this room? Did you hang yourself in the attic? Blah, blah, blah. We were getting no's on the dowsing rods, Crystal.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So if it's me controlling it, and if the story I know, the answer should have been yes, they should have been crossing yes, but they were opening no. And so that made my historian brain be like, wait a second. If we weren't talking to the Reverend, who were we talking to? Right. So then I started researching the Reverend's story. And then that's when I came across his obituary, where he died in the state of Washington at the age of 94. So I knew that the story about Reverend Poor was inaccurate, but that didn't negate the fact that there was still haunting activity. So who was it? And then that's when I delved into the history of Newton and Everett and Clara and all of that. I'm like, in my opinion, that's probably who's haunting the house. Now, the one question I do have for you, Crystal, and I don't know if you know this, but I can't find any evidence of a brothel or the prostitute story about Sarah.
Yeah, I also have not been able to find anything legitimate about that.
Right. And based on who Clara and Hazel were after, and who Newton was, I mean, the Methodist Church is on the same corner as you guys.
Yeah.
You know, Clara was an upstanding, respectable businesswoman, especially after Newton dies. Hazel was extremely involved in the Methodist Church next door.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot see that place being run as a brothel during their time. Now,
I'm going to weigh in as a sailor. I'll tell you, you know, it does happen, but in that close to a church would be rare. I mean, we did an investigation years ago. We've been around since 99. So out in Acton, and there was a camp out there, religious camp. I mean, these people were very staunch Bible Belt religious. I mean, you know, I can't figure them operating a brothel that close. I mean, you can't. It's like Benjamin Franklin once said, we always have this thing in Freemasonry that the only way two people can keep a secret is if one of them's dead.
Right.
And I mean, it's impossible to keep that under wraps.
Right. Now, and Crystal, I don't know about you, but I can kind of see maybe a secret speakeasy, you know, people where you can like, get liquor. You know.
Methodist drink too. I mean, you know.
Exactly. I can see that.
Yeah.
But I just cannot see a brothel or a prostitution set up at all when Clara and Hazel were there. Now, you know, once Clara dies, Hazel stays there with her son, William.
Mm-hmm.
Now, William's father, Harry, I think he and Hazel separated sometime in the 1940s because he drops off the census, and in his obituary in 87, I can't remember now. His wife is listed completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 67. He
so
died
at least a separation, if not a divorce. Yeah.
It's a definite divorce because she is listed as a past spouse in his obituary, and his wife is the spouse. But William passes away in 1969. Hazel passed away in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened from the time Hazel passes away and who's got the house before Clint Haley buys it, if in that interim something happened in that house with a prostitute. That's the only possibility I can see for that story occurring.
Yeah. And we've heard, again, this is with Mike because he's there all the time.
Yeah.
People have told him that they've heard family members talk about just some crazy stuff going on at the hotel.
And I can certainly see that happening in the 70s, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I hate that we can't verify it. And that's why I always try to put out there that it's allegedly that because we haven't been able to verify it.
Yeah.
Well, the 60s and 70s were a time where more things of that nature. I mean, your swinging was very popular.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And I mean, you look the other way. It was a lot easier to do it than it was, like, say, in 1930, 1940, 1950.
Right. And census records from that time are still blocked. So it's hard to find anything like that. And newspapers in a small town like
blocked?
That, it's 70 years before you can access
that's
census
right.
records.
That's right. I forgot. I'm sorry.
The government says no.
Yeah. So,
So,
Crystal, I don't know that we can, say that
by
that
advice
story
of the council, I'm not allowed to make comments on that any longer. Yeah.
So, I don't think we can say that story is invalid. We just don't have any proof of that story. But something could have happened with a female in the 60s and 70s. It was just never recorded. So I'm not going to throw that one completely under the water like I do the Reverend Poor story.
Well, and I'll tell you, one good example of that's Vegas. If you go to Vegas, you would never believe how many prostitutes are around. You just don't know it. They don't look like the TV version. So, it's one of those kind of things. And I think that, could it went on? Sure. I mean, and there's a lot of things that never get, if you own a hotel, you're sure as hell not going to document a bunch of hookers up in one room. That probably isn't going to be good for you. You want to leave that one out. So I could see why that isn't there.
But can you tell me more about the history of that room that they call Sarah's room? What do people experience in that room?
Well, they actually, so a lot of men have reported being touched in that room. Sometimes
what room number is it?
Yeah. Somebody wants to know.
Yeah. Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. So if you're there.
Yeah.
But it's, you get reports of that. of things like that happening, people will leave money on the dresser to kind of,
Sure.
say, hey, I'm going to leave this for you, as kind of like a trigger object, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it is one of those things that we don't know for sure if it happened. We know they're getting activity that is in line with it.
Right. Right.
But let me tell you, if I was haunting a place and someone was doing that and I could mess with people, I would totally.
Oh, God, yes. I have a list of names. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Crystal, when I was there, the backside where Everett's room is and the other room across the hall, that was not a bad area. It felt, like a normal place, but we were getting activity with the dowsing rods. Yeah. But when I moved to the front end of that house, to the north end of that house where Sarah's room is, and then that dark sort of attic-y closet with that room was chilling.
Mm-hmm.
There was a different, darker feel in that room. Do you sense the same thing, Crystal?
Are you talking about room 1, Sarah's room?
Yeah.
I don't much care for that closet. I don't really feel like that in the room itself. But yeah, I don't like that closet that much. But I tell you, it's weird for me because I'm kind of the opposite. I don't want to say the end of the hall where Everett is, but like room 4, 2 and 4 for me are the ones that kind of give me this weird vibe.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, like, I don't like the closet in Sarah's room in 1, but 2 and 4 are definitely those rooms for me that I don't know if something has happened in there that's like triggering me to feel that way or what, but I do know a lot of people feel that way about room 2. And I actually, we have a friend that lives in town. She lives very close. Her name's Gina, and she helps us at the hotel. Her mom won't even go in room 2.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah. And
all
I
right,
don't
well,
know
I'm going to put that on my list to make
bad.
sure because
I
didn't get to
what is room
that
4?
day.
Room 4, I don't have any history regarding room 4.
Okay.
It's the one, it's actually directly before Everett. So it's on the right side of the hallway as you're walking toward the back of the hotel.
Oh, okay.
And
I was thinking it was on the other side.
Before I get too far, I got to tell one story here. I don't want to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Years ago, my co-founder and I, he's retired now. His name's Ed Adams. I'm doing this because he's probably listening. Anyway, there was a private investigation we had, and supposedly it was haunted by a woman who would sexually interact with you. And one of my greatest times where we let him have that room. Next morning we got up and I go, okay, what do you got? He goes, nothing happened. I go, well, there you go. Proves you can't get laid. And I turned around and walked. I'll never forget. Oh, my God. He was mad for like a year over that. But, yeah, I couldn't resist. It was just a piece of resistance. But, that does happen. Ed's still sore about that. But anyway, I'll tell you, everybody has a different feeling about rooms in different locations. All the years I've investigated, which is over 30, there's some that just don't have necessarily any background as to why they are, but they feel funny.
Well, and Crystal, without that registry book, we have no idea who was really there. I have a list of boarders from 1900, but by 1910, 1920, there are no boarders listed at the hotel, which means they were no longer boarding there. It was more of a revolving hotel at that point.
It's got to be in somebody's attic, because if they knew it was worth anything, they'd have it on eBay.
Right.
I hate to say it, but it's true.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I keep hoping that it pops up, and we always talk about like John Dillinger, if he was there, and if we had the guest book, but Mike
it
and I
would
have
be
talked
in the
about
guest
that a
book if
little
it was there.
Like there's no way he would have written his name.
No, he used 3 different aliases I know of.
Well, maybe his alias was in there. But word of mouth and gossip in a small town is always the best, isn't it, Crystal?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that might be one of the reasons why I don't like small towns.
Well, exactly. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows your history back to your great-great-granny, and what she was wearing on Sundays.
Well, I've always found it helps to keep the neighbors at bay. At every once in a while, you walk out with an M4 and a plate carrier, and you run around with a glass of scotch. Keeps them all in their own yards. Anyway, but I'll tell you, funny thing, how I found out about the aliases was in Brown County in Nashville, Indiana, there used to be a John Dillinger museum. It was there for years and years and years. I went to it as a kid. And one of the things I remember one of the guides talking about was anytime he checked into a hotel, he checked in under 3 different aliases. It'd be one of those 3 that he used. Now, I could probably find them, but that's the ones he checked in under. He, of course, obviously, he never used his own name. And actually, Al Capone checked in as Al Shapiro.
Oh.
Yeah, I found that out too. That was kind of interesting in Volrath. And he was actually related, my understanding, to the Shapiros that make Shapiro's Cafe here in Indiana. So
Shapiro's Deli?
Yeah, Deli. Yeah. And it's funny how that works out. But, most people don't, it's like stars, movie stars, they don't fly under they have to fly under their God-given name, which most of them, probably 98% of them, do not use they have a stage name. But when they fly under their actual given name.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Dillinger would not be in that. I mean, the name Dillinger would not be in that book. But, Crystal, I do remember a story.
I have to wonder if he would have even signed in at all if he was using
may not have.
Like
I mean,
yeah, because if he was using that back door, like we're suggesting, going upstairs, back staircase.
I have one little story about him because my grandfather operated a radio shop in Fountain Square. And my grandfather's been dead for years. I never met him, died before I was born. But he was a pretty cool guy. My grandmother, on the other hand, was not. But anyway, the one thing I can tell you is I had a story related to me. And I guess one night Dillinger pulled in to his radio shop in the back and told him he had a car radio he needed repaired. He was there with what they thought was maybe Machine Gun Kelly and a gun mall. And when he got in the car, he realized the radio he wanted repaired was a police radio. And he looked at my grandfather and says, "You know who I am, right?" He says, "Yes." He says, "Look, if you just repair this, we mean you no harm. We're not going to bother you. We'll pay you extremely well." And I guess he paid him the equivalent of the rest of the year's salary he would have made at the store for fixing the radio. And he says, "I was never here." He says, "You're damn right you were never here." That amount of money, I mean, but that was always told to me as a kid that, he fixed a radio for John Dillinger. And, Dillinger had several hideouts. I've been to the one in Martinsville, and there was one up here off Hunter Road in Indianapolis. I went to high school with a guy that owned that. And, he had his spots. He worked it pretty well. He just, they all make a mistake sooner or later, but is what it is. So,
Crystal, can you tell me what year Mike took over the Rhodes Hotel?
That was 2017.
Okay, so just before I was there then.
Yeah,
in
so I think it was
2018.
August of 17.
Okay. Now, when I reached out to him in 2022, he didn't have much information to give me because things were just starting to get, kicked off and that sort of thing. But I do remember hearing the story about the glass in the window in Everett's room breaking towards the inside. Am I wrong on that? Or was it towards the outside?
No, that's right. It broke, I think, to the, I want to say to the inside. It didn't happen while we've had it.
Okay, so that was that was the story before.
Yeah, this was, I think this might have actually been before Gail owned it, which is who Robin got the hotel from.
Oh.
For Mike.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it may have even been before her, or maybe it was during her time. But
okay, so if it wasn't during her time, then it would have been during Clint's time.
Well, I think there was someone between Clint and Gail, if I remember correctly. Okay. This is when I wish Gina was here because she's lived in Atlanta for so long and she knows. I always joke that she came with the hotel whenever we bought it.
Well, I bet she would know my aunt and uncle then. And I wish
probably.
Aunt Pat could give me more information. All she could tell me was Clint and Linda owned it, and when they were good friends. And that Lee and Larry owned the Asher House, which isn't that just right on the same block, Crystal? Do you know?
It is, yeah. There's just there's like Rhodes is right by the church, and then there's this little small empty white house right beside the hotel, and then like a little alleyway,
right,
and then Asher Walton. So it's technically like the same block,
right? And the Asher Walton faces the railroad tracks, correct?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what Lee and Larry owned first, and then they sold that to Steve. And they owned that, I think, the same time that Clint and Linda owned the Rhodes, if I'm getting the story from my aunt and uncle correctly.
Yeah. And I do know, so it was interesting, and I wish we had kept in touch. I'm not sure exactly what happened and why it didn't work out. Clint actually had called back when Mike owned the hotel through the charity.
Okay.
And he called and said that he had some stuff.
I can
from the
get in
hotel.
touch with them because they're now down in Lexington, Kentucky.
Ooh.
And I can get in
that would
touch with
be
them through my
amazing.
aunt.
Yeah.
Let me do that, Crystal. Let me reach out.
It.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was actually I think he was wanting to come up at some point. I want to say it was around the festival time because they have that big Earth Festival during September.
Yep, Aunt Pat used to sell her homemade soap and everything else. Yeah.
God, that's hard to get now.
Oh, well, with Aunt Pat living right there on Broadway, just like I said, Crystal, a block north of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
There's a massive old Victorian with a big wraparound porch, and then there's an offset garage. And my aunt and uncle owned that for about 20 years. They moved back from Texas sometime early in the 1990s, just about when I graduated, 92, 93.
Yeah.
And they lived in that Victorian for years. And then they just moved north up onto the farm with my cousin Scott. But yeah, they're still friends with Clint and Linda. So let me see, reaching out to my aunt and see if she can reach out to Linda, and I'll get you guys in touch.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
That sounds great.
Go ahead.
Can you give me some more information about Mike and his Lost Limb Foundation? What's the status with that? Because I know when I was there, he owned the property and he was using funds to help support his foundation. Am I accurate in that?
Yeah. Yeah. So he started it before he actually had the hotel.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you've
I've met Mike.
So
yeah.
He's he's an amputee himself, so he wanted to help amputee children.
Right.
And so that's Robin is actually, whenever Gail was wanting to sell the property, she reached out to Robin, who we had known for a few years at that point. And Robin came up with this idea. He was like, well, the charity should have it, and that could be a source of income for helping these children.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he reached out to Mike and to me, and we kind of came up with this plan of, Mike, of course, lives there. So he would be taking care of the caretaker.
Right.
Yeah. And then I kind of did all the bookings and dealt with the calls and the emails and things like that. So that's how we split up the work at that time. And then he also took care of everything with the charity as well.
That's nice.
And so he ran that until the very end of 22 is when he told me that it was getting to be a bit much.
Right.
He has some other health issues, along with his leg. He's still having issues with his leg too.
Right, because he can't wear a prosthetic, can he? Because we keep having infections and such. Am I right?
Well, he actually has had a lot of issues with blood clots still.
Wow.
In the remaining part of his leg. So it causes him a lot of pain.
Oh, God, yeah. And it's dangerous, horribly dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
So he's really struggling with that. He still is. But like I said, the end of 22 is when he reached out and was like, this is getting to be a bit much. And I think I need to focus on myself, which I completely understood and agreed with. And so he said, it's a nonprofit. The Lost Limbs is technically who owned Rhodes.
Yes.
And whenever you dissolve a nonprofit that,
that's a mess. Yeah.
You have to go through it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was a secretary or assistant secretary for a long time for the Masonic Lodge, and oh my God, I went through a course at Ivy Tech just on C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh my God, it's a lot. It is a lot.
So the Lost Limbs Foundation was dissolved then?
It was, Okay. It would have been in 23 by the time that actually happened.
Okay.
So as soon as he told me at the end of 22, I was like, don't, if I can buy this, I'm going to buy it. Let me figure it out and give me just a little bit of time. And it thankfully happened at a point where I was able to actually work it out to buy
That's
it.
outstanding. I always felt kind of close to being a Shriner. We deal a lot with limbs, and the Shriners have done some fabulous things with robotic limbs. And I got my first experience. Had a little girl from Acton who she had lost an arm and needed a prosthetic. And I had never done that before. I've been a Shriner, help raise money for kids. I've just never actually walked through the process. So I got to walk through the process with her. And my God, it was fantastic. And I always thought of Mike. I remember you probably don't remember this, but when Dustin came to town and had his show to her to Mira, immediately they contacted me because both being with Spirit and Dustin knew us, and then being with Mira, the guy over in the theater side, which is not part of Mira, and I always tell everybody it's not pronounced Marat. There are no rats. Well, none that I can officially talk about in Mira since the last time I was in the potentate's office. But anyway, but I saw you and him skating toward the golden elevator, right before it began, and Dustin waved, and I knew you guys were going up probably to the green room or whatever at the time, but we had came down. Oh, yeah. I didn't get to see you guys leave. I was going to try to catch you before you got out of there. We were all there for a short period of time. Went out with Dustin, had some pictures made. I have several stories we can't tell on air having to do with alcohol and Dustin and some of the other guys up at Michigan Paracon. But anyway,
I can only imagine.
Right, Crystal?
Yeah. For all people like Dave Schrader and
there are some
others.
guys you just got to rein in, right, Crystal?
Yeah.
Make sure.
And Michigan was always the time.
Oh, God,
it was. That was the best.
We miss it dearly. No good story ever began with I was eating a salad, I can tell you that. And, we had some good ones.
Well, Crystal, now that the Lost Limbs is no longer, a foundation, you're now able to use the proceeds from those investigations to help refurbish the hotel, right?
Yeah.
Because last time I was up there,
the hotel.
There was no porch, and I went, "What the heck? Where'd the porch go?" And then I'm looking at your page, I'm like, "Oh, they're putting a new porch on! Yay!"
Yeah.
And then I saw you and Terry doing the pies in the face for the fundraiser.
Yeah, I saw that.
Was it the roof? Am I right? The roof?
Oh gosh. I think the first one we did
attic floor, wasn't it?
We did one. The most recent one was for the attic.
Okay, the attic floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've thankfully not only has everyone that has come in to investigate, all of that money goes right back into the hotel. Whether it's paying for the mortgage on it, or it's the utilities, or it's renovations, all of it stays with the hotel.
New paint, and
and there's so much. I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize unless you really start digging into what it takes to own a
unless you own one,
how much it costs.
Right. I mean, just look what Terry just did. He's got the roof falling in, and he's got the mud sliding into the team room down there at Ashmore. That all takes money and finances.
And he's lucky he has, a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
And he's able to
got
do
some
a lot
experience.
Of work himself because he knows how. Yeah, he has the experience with it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, he puts up with me. And he helps me a lot, too.
I think the relationship you guys have together
fantastic.
Is just amazing. I love watching you guys.
Ed owned an old home, it still does, in Irvington. I had to explain to him one time the difference between drywall and lapboard and plaster. And I go, there's a big freaking difference. And I said, I can't just slap a board up here. I said, this is an art that's been long lost. And I mean, everything we did, now that was a house, luckily, that had been converted from tube and knob over to regular wiring, but it had the 70s aluminum wiring. And I'd work on it from time to time, and I always laugh because every project I had to go to either two of the antique hardware stores, either one in Fountain Square or the other one at the old Arlington Theater, because nobody else carried parts for anything he had. And it's people don't understand. It's extremely expensive to work on those homes, to restore those homes.
Yeah.
And you have to have that knowledge. I mean, YouTube will get you a long way. My cousin the other day was talking about how, thank God for YouTube. My dad didn't have it. He bought books.
Yeah.
And I mean,
But knowledge alone can only take you so far, Crystal. You need the funding. You need the revenue.
The money has to be there.
And it's like Dan up with Randolph Infirmary and the Blackford Jail.
Yeah.
You have to save these properties. As a amateur historian who loves nothing more than delving into the research of a place and just absorbing the history, these places are so important.
Well, I belong to the Scottish Rite, and one of my greatest times is taking people down there as a guest because I can walk in the doors and take them on tours. And if you've never seen the Scottish Rite Cathedral, it's overwhelming. It's all Russian white oak. It was built in the early 1900s. And I always tell everybody, hey, just call me if you're in town. I will make the arrangements. I used to run all the EMS and fire for the building, but the building manager used to be a member of this group. The building maintenance manager used to be our tech manager years ago, retired. Jim. I said, all I got to do is make one phone call and go, I'm on the way, and that's all it takes. And it's a beautiful structure, but they maintain it daily. There's always something. When you're doing these, there's never enough money and there's never enough time.
Crystal, you can understand
and every time
that,
you
can't
dig
you?
into a project, you
bigger than you
start
thought.
a project and you think it's going to be simple, and then you remove a floor or you remove part of a wall or whatever.
And there's more rot and mildew than you thought was there. Yeah,
you find all these issues. It's just it's crazy.
A creaky floorboard turns into a whole new staircase, right?
Yeah, exactly. You start going into every project with, okay, it should cost this much.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to be a lot more.
Double or triple. Yeah. Well, Crystal, as we wrap up, can you tell us, let us know how we can help support you guys? Where can people go to book a date and get investigating out there?
Yeah. So we have the website at rhodeshotel.com. It has the private and public investigation tabs, depending on which one you'd like to do. So if you do a private investigation, we do rent out the entire building. And there's a calendar on probably about halfway down that page that shows our open dates.
Okay.
Any date without a time. So any date that's blank is open. I think we're pretty low on Saturdays at this point. I might only have a couple Saturdays left for the rest of the year, except for July 4th, which I don't expect anybody to book at this point just because of fireworks.
What the hell? We're not doing anything. What are we? Everybody check their calendars.
But fireworks. Fireworks will mess up our EVPs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's always a tough day.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, we have the website. We have our Facebook page, Rhodes Hotel. And then email, if you just have questions, is info, so INF as in Frank, O at rhodeshotel.com.
Okay.
And then the phone number's out there on the website, and also if you Google, everything comes to me. So I'm the one that's answering all the questions. You can also send messages to the Facebook page.
Okay, great. And Ciara, as we were talking the other day, any investigator worth their salt is willing to take a day off work to investigate. So, guys, get those bookings in.
Yeah,
you can book anytime.
And after you've had 3 weeks off, and you tell your supervisor, look, I'm doing science here.
Come on, we got PTO.
I am a scientist.
Man up and take a day off. Let's go.
I got to ask you a few things before we wrap up. First, one thing, you and I were at a Greenwood Festival, and there's another one of those in September of this year. Corey and them down at Greenwood Happy Haunts, and we went through a lot of meteorological science that night. But your dad, I enjoyed more than anything talking with your father. I want him to know my shop is about 3/4 of the way set up. I'm still working on it, so tell him when you see him. We sat there. We talked about. I had more fun talking to him. And that's before he left. But I'm going to ask you an odd question. Of all I always consider, of course, I know, well, same as you, a lot of these people, they're on TV. So out of our movie stars, we'll call them. I always like to aggravate Dave Schroeder with that. And my cousin, we're family, Greg Lawson and I. So out of all of them that you've had there, which were the ones were the funnest? And do you have any stories that you can tell on air?
Oh gosh. God, everybody's great. Like I can't think of anyone that hasn't been a blast to have there. Probably most recently, I would have to say Dustin Perry was there last year. He's coming back August 8th.
Yeah, he is.
This year.
Yep. Now, do you still have tickets? Because I saw that there were only 2 left.
I think there's a couple left. Yeah, so anybody that wants those tickets,
Yeah, they're all deciding
to
which going. Yeah, I'm being
We're all raising our hands over here,
everybody
Crystal.
else is going, I think, but me. Yeah, I tell you, Dustin's good people. When we got the call to sell tickets, and
he is just one of those
I always had to laugh because we were doing pictures up at Michigan one time, and I'll never forget this, and we were standing there, and my wife had taken off, and I was looking for her, and I went down a couple of times, and Dustin pointed, he says, she went that way, and she had a charge card. And I'll never forget it. I thought, thanks, dude. And,
I wasn't sure which story we were going for. I was going to have you hit the button there.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to tell some of the. I will say
pulled that one several.
The funniest thing we had was a photograph op with Dave Schrader. Let's see who else. There was Greg was involved in this.
And
me,
Dustin too, because
Dustin, and then Shane, and we're all taking turns taking pictures. At one point, somebody goes, whose phone is this? I go, well, it's not mine. And Dave goes, well, it's not mine. I go, where the hell did the phone come from? And we've been taking all these pictures on it. And I go, Dave, quick, drop your pants. Hang on. And we're, and then we have to go give the phone away. I don't know whose it is. We set it down, and this lady came back and picked it up. And I remember Dave going, oh, shit.
Oh, no.
And I go, yeah. I go, we weren't here. We don't know anything about this. And, but oh, my God, yeah. I mean, they thought it was mine because I asked them. I went to go get a picture with Greg or somebody, and one of them jumped up and said, I'll take it. And it was a time when it was early. There wasn't a lot of people in there. We were horsing around.
Classic Michigan Paracon.
Yeah, classic Michigan. I tell you, I missed that so much. That was so much
And then
fun.
the hangover sale.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dave one time might have drank too much the night before, so he didn't show up. So Shane and me and Greg had a book sale at his stand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, at discounted rates where he showed up. And, it was always a lot of fun. We never missed a good time there, and I dearly miss that. I mean, we've been talking about next year going either SciCon or to Penn, but I don't see it being the same as Michigan, and
there'll never be another like it.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that one, everybody there's not a whole lot to do in Sault Ste. Marie. So everybody's just at the hotel and the casino hanging out.
Yeah. Making friends and just relaxing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Chris and Marie from Travelers Moon. Yeah, they used Kelly. I'm sorry, I said Marie and Kelly. Chris and Kelly. Chris would always give me a hard way to go because I wore kilt and he wore kilt. And I remember we would plan these things out. And, that was a big thing every year. And Joe from 222 Paranormal and everything. It was just, it was a great time. You looked forward to going. Yeah. This is a big thing for us. I mean, we booked the classes. I won't say what TV star, but he had a class. And I'll never forget he was coughing a little bit. And one of the gals in the audience came up and I was standing next to him. We were talking. And she gives him a cough drop, and he puts it in his mouth. And I looked at him, I said, I wouldn't do that. He goes, why? And I go, well, officer, I don't know how the LSD got in my system. And he spits it clear across the room. I go, look, I'm a fireman. I can tell you we don't get, unless we know the person, we don't eat things brought up to us. I mean, and he looked at me, he says, you're an asshole. I go, no, I'm being true here. I mean, dude, I would not pop something in my mouth. I said, that woman's half crazy anyway. I'd sit next to her in the last class, and I said, I would not just randomly put shit in your mouth. You don't know what it is. And I mean, but I'll tell you, that was some of the funnest times. Well, Crystal, we obviously owe you an investigation.
Yep.
And I'm sorry. We've been very behind. We will try to get with you. I miss Dustin. Will you tell Dustin I said hi?
I will. Yeah, absolutely.
Good people. I think a lot of Dustin. And, whenever he comes to town, we try to do what we can for tickets or sell where we can.
But we'll get up there, Kristen.
We will. I promise, Crystal. We'll get up there. Is there anything you want to add? I mean, we did a lot of talking tonight, and you really haven't.
Well, you guys have, honestly, you have covered so much. I mean, there's some information that you guys have that I didn't have. So I feel like I definitely need to reach out and talk to you guys.
You probably just need to come to the crypt. I mean, that way we can discuss this in person and near the bar.
With an adult beverage.
With an adult beverage. There you go. What is your favorite drink, Crystal?
It's funny. I don't actually drink that much.
Well, that's okay. We can teach you. I mean, it's not a problem.
There you go.
We have classes in that. It's okay. Yeah.
Or we can do a mocktail.
Yeah.
It's fine.
There you go.
We got Diet Coke.
I mean, I don't care to, but
Nobody likes a quitter, but AA. I'm telling you, we're not alcoholics. They go to meetings. We're drunks. We go to parties. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we're
a
not
big
anonymous.
difference. Yeah.
They know who we are.
Yeah, we're drunks. We go to parties. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, But yeah, you got to come down. Jennifer would share that with you. Jennifer is one of the best research and social media managers we could ever have. I mean, she really supports. I mean, I tell you what, I always tell everybody, it's not about me, it's about the team. A lot of times I get a little upset when they put my name in front of it because everybody works so hard on this team. They do. We've been around since '99. I'm probably as old as a few of the other investigators. I mean, John is one that I kind of look at every so often and think, I'm as old as he is. But, I'll tell you, my people are fantastic. And this team wouldn't exist if we were family. We take everything that way. We help each other out, whether it's paranormal or just personal lives. And I mean, it's a big thing for us. So we need to get you out here, let you look at some of this. And
I'll definitely contact my aunt this evening and try and get Clint and Linda's information and try and get you guys hooked up again.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah. It definitely, it's a teamwork when it comes to this stuff, just because.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do everything myself. Mike's there to help Gina. We have another volunteer, Adam, that helps us. And Robin, I mean, honestly, we just wouldn't even have the place.
Robin's like a force, isn't he? He seems to be everywhere.
Seems like
all
a nice
the time.
guy. I've never met him, but he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, he does.
Don't listen, edit this out and don't tell him I said it. But he really is. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
I love him to death. He's a good person and he always wants to help people.
Yeah.
That's nice.
He loves to see locations, thrive and so he's always helping out. And even he's helped financially with some of the work at Rhodes. A lot of the work at Rhodes.
Yeah.
And he also just comes over and helps too sometimes. He's been most recently the attic floor.
Yeah.
And he was there for the porch to get all the railing and everything up again. So, without him, a lot of this work would not have been done.
Yep.
Crystal, I got to ask you, have you ever been to the Scottish Rite Cathedral?
I haven't.
Oh, we need to take a group down there. So I think
There we go.
If you've never been there, it's worth the ride. I got to ask you one other question before we wrap up. How many times have you been mistaken for Amy?
How long do you have?
I got to pick on you a little bit because I know we talked a little bit about this at Greenwood Haunts, but
people see red hair and they just make assumptions.
Yeah,
they do. Yeah. I've been asked for photos. I've been asked for autographs. People tell me they love my show.
You should just do it.
Yeah. Well, when you come here, we'll have to make a picture and get you to autograph it. We have framed portraits of different people up here in the crypt, autographed. And
you can autograph it either way you want.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Amy, Crystal, whatever
works.
Yeah. I always joke that I'm going to start charging people.
Well, I always have to laugh. My very first girlfriend in kindergarten was a redhead. And I got to tell a story because it's kind of funny. She was much bigger than any of the other kids, so I had worked this out where no one messed with me because they were afraid of her. And she'd worked several kids over, and it was kind of like the godfather of kindergarten. All I had to do was point, and Becky would go take care of them. And we always laughed about that. But something we want to do. We'll get together. We'll talk about this after we get off air. But anyway, certainly, we'll give you whatever evidence we've collected and whatever that Jennifer has researched, and we'll try to put something together to get out there because we want to support all these buildings. Really do. This year has been a real toll on dates and times of all of us, so it's been a bit busy.
Yeah, but we can suck it up for the cause here.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yeah, pull my load.
Yes,
July
exactly.
4th at Rhodes.
I'll set a date right now.
Yeah.
Crystal, thank you so much for your time this evening. It's been a pleasure.
And we can't thank
you for having me.
I'll tell you what, we're going to get ready to sign off here. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll hang on, we'll be going into the ghost story of the day. It's now time for the ghost story of the day with Heather Lawson.
All right, this comes from A Ghost a Day by Maureen Wood and Ron Kolek. And it is history's first ghost hunter from Athens, Greece, May 10th, 94 BC. It has been said that one of the oldest recorded ghost sightings in history comes from a Roman magistrate named Pliny the Younger. What he described in his writings is what we would assume today to be a typical haunted house. Pliny writes that a philosopher by the name of Athenodorus Canonites, born in 74 BC and died 7 AD, having heard of the haunted house, decided to investigate the situation for himself. You might say that Athenodorus was a paranormal investigator way ahead of his time. He rented the haunted house, then waited for the ghostly apparition to make its move. We don't know how long the Stoic philosopher had to wait, but what we do know, as recorded in Pliny's record, was that Athenodorus found what he was looking for. Apparently, the disheveled spirit of an old man, bound in chains, appeared before him. Without whispering a word, the spirit beckoned Athenodorus to follow him. The spirit of the old man led him out of the home and into the garden before vanishing in thin air. Not one to ignore a message, the philosopher marked the spot and then brought men in the next day to dig. Once again, Athenodorus was rewarded for his efforts when the skeleton of a man bound in chains was discovered. What happened next? Well, the way Pliny described it in his writings, when they respectfully removed the chains and properly buried the man, the haunting came to an end.
Thanks for listening to Ghost. Again, I'm your host, Chief Lawson. You can find Ghost on all major formats on the 15th and 30th of the month at midnight. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, maybe have a question or subject you'd like to ask about on air or be used on the show, please email us at ghosttoghost@spiritindiana.com, ghosttoghost@spiritindiana.com. I want to thank my production staff on Spirit, Jennifer Verne, our research manager and our producer, and Heather Lawson, our trainer on Spirit and our podcast director, for helping make these podcasts possible. My chief of staff, Andrew Brooks, for his guidance and help on the scripts, and everyone else involved. Thank you so much. See you next time. Until then, stay safe and remember the truth is out there. Good night. Ghost to Ghost podcast and its contents is the property of Spirit Paranormal Ltd., all rights reserved. We welcome you to download and play the podcast and share with others for personal use. You may not, except with written permission, use or distribute its contents for commercial use. Spirit Indiana Paranormal, covering the Hoosier State since 2002, Indy's oldest parapsychology investigation group. If you're experiencing what you believe to be paranormal issues, reach out to us for help at www.spiritindiana.com or call our hotline at 317-883-9103. Again, that is www.spiritindiana.com or our hotline at 317-883-9103. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself and the ones you love, and be safe out there.